and I think this is going to be the last video in my FlipAnim series. So this is video 3. Okay, so what I have here is I have just a quick playthrough, just a quick bouncing ball, 10 frames, and it builds on all of the tools and features that I did in the first 2 videos. So in this last video, I'm going to show and take a look at and experiment some of these tools and features that are over here on the right hand side. So if you're working in the beta editor, like I am, you'll see that you have layers and paper. So the paper is, let's basically think of that as your background. If you draw on the paper, and I'll go ahead and I'll just draw, so there's yellowish color here, and I'll just draw an X. If you draw that on the paper, that is on your background layer there. And what should happen is now if I press play, yep, you'll see that whatever you draw on your background, on your paper layer, that will show up on every single frame. So that's really handy if you want to draw something that's going to stay there, like a background. So for instance, if I select my paper again, and you have to select it to be able to edit it, draw on it, and do that. So if I go ahead and I want to draw something like, if I want to draw a ground, oops. So if I want to draw a ground line, just a real simple line, not terribly straight at all, I can do that. And then the cool thing is I only have to, let me move it down a little bit. There we go. And might as well use the tools I have here, so I'll rotate it a little bit. There we go. Okay, good. So I only have to draw it once, and because I drew it on the paper layer, it's there. So now if I go back and I press play, you'll see that it's there. And my drawings are off a little bit, but it's working. And now if I go to my frame where it actually hits, this frame here, I can take the move tool and just move it up a little bit. Look at that. There we go. And now it's fixed. So now I've got a ground in there and I'm all set. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to go back to my paper layer or ground layer. I'm going to select a little bit of a bigger brush and just kind of fill this in here just so it feels a little more solid. Again, you just have to make sure that you select where it says paper up there, and that is your background. So if you wanted a background like a sky and a tree and sun or something like that, a sky, clouds, do that on this paper layer, okay? If you want something to be able to change and you want some greater flexibility, you're going to click on layers here. All right, so I'm going to save this again. Now here's the interesting thing about saving. When you save once, and I've already saved this once, let's see, so I've already downloaded this once and I hit save. So now if I click here and I hit save, okay, so it's not really saving, it's just loading. So that's a little confusing. If I want to download this again, or if I want to save this again, I have to click on the download and it's just going to download it again. I don't know if I like that, but there's not much I can do about it. So if I go to my download folder, you'll see that I actually have 2 files here. And so I don't know if I like that. What you could end up with is you could end up with multiple copies of the same file. So again, it's free, so I can't complain too much, but yeah. And if you know how to properly save this, please in the comments below, help me out. Okay, let's experiment with layers and these little buttons down here. So what I want to do now is I want to experiment with layers here. So with layers selected here, I've got a little plus, minus, and delete. So I'm going to click on plus, and that adds in a new layer. I'm guessing that whatever I draw on this new layer, if I draw it like that, if I minus, You'll see right here, this will remove layer from every frame of your animation. Okay, so if I say okay, so what it does is it removes the second layer from all of these frames, even though these other frames didn't have it. So these layers do span all throughout all of your other frames. So that's pretty handy. But that little minus symbol will do that. Okay. Now if I go back and I add another layer, so here's layer 2. There's layer 2. So let's see. Now if I hit the minus symbol is actually going to get rid of this frame. So I don't want to do that. So this is add layer, delete layer. This is to clear the frame. Remember that. This is not going to delete the layer. This is going to clear the entire frame. Okay. All right. So there we are there. Let me go ahead and erase this. Okay. So let's say I want to color fill in the ball here. So I'm going to select, I've got my new layer here, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the color orange. And let's say I just come in here and I fill this in. Now if I go over it, you'll notice that the new artwork, the orange color fill, is actually covering up the pencil that's on layer 1. Okay, I wasn't very careful there, but you can see that it is going out. It looks like a sun. Now if I click the layer, I wonder if I can drag it down. Okay, so that's very cool. So you can click and drag and make it go lower. Okay. It's having trouble going. I can't drag it back up, which is strange. Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping these two little buttons do over here, is to move a layer up or to move a layer down. Hoping that's the case. Does not seem to be doing it. That is to merge. Awesome. I'm going to see if I can undo that. Okay. Okay, you only get a few undos. Awesome. Okay, so I basically just killed my first frame by clicking on these buttons. So this little eye down here clearly hides a layer, and that works just like in any other drawing program. These two buttons here, and again, I wish there was a tooltip. I clearly have to do some more experimenting with those. I'm gonna clear this layer here, and now I'm back to this one here. Let me go ahead and take, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna fix this one. I'm gonna minus that frame. I'm gonna take this frame here and I'm gonna copy it, and then on frame, so now I have a copy of it. In frame 1, I'm just gonna move that back up here. Okay, so now if I go ahead, you'll see that I've sort of fixed it. So I didn't mean for that to happen, but it shows you how I ran into a problem and I was able to fix it. Okay, so I'm not in love with the way the layers work. There's some good things and some bad things. So, okay, if I go ahead and I add a new layer, that's great. And then if I paint with it, so if I paint with it, the paint's fine, and you can see clearly that I'm painting on top, and because this layer's on top, it's covering it up. If I drag and drop and let go, it behaves as expected. And now I could come in here with the eraser, change my brush size, and I could do some, cleanup work. I could zoom in, be more careful, and I could do that. Again, I don't want to waste your time right now. I don't seem to be able to drag and drop it again and rearrange them. So it looks like it's doing it only once, which bothers me. and this button here, down here that I'm tapping on, seems to do nothing. This button here with the two little squares and a red arrow, that seems to merge the layers together a little bit, like in Photoshop. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to experiment with those. So I would stay away from these two buttons until we figure that out. Okay, so I have a bottom layer here. That's my color layer. So now, if I go to the next frame, I should be able to draw with this. Just pick a little bit of a bigger color here to go faster. I should be able to draw with this, and you can see that I am drawing underneath the line art. It is going underneath, and I can just go back and I could clean it up later. I wonder if I can use the paint bucket tool here. Nope. And the reason why I can't use the paint bucket tool is because the circle is on another layer, so that's why it filled in with the whole thing. So you do have to manually fill in here, but you could do it very quickly like this, and then just go back and do a little bit a round of cleanup. So I'm going to switch to the bigger brush size, and I could just go in here and I could just do that very quickly. And so I could do what are called a couple passes. So this is my color fill pass. So I just fill, do it there like that. Again, depending on how you like to work, you could do that. And then you could go back and you could then put on your good music and be very careful. And then do your cleanup. Okay, so there we are. I've got everything in here. It's all filled in. It just needs to be cleaned up. And then there we go. Okay, so that is it. That is all of these tools over here with some question marks, some dangerous ones over here. So I'm going to go ahead, coming up on 12 minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And we'll just call this ball bounce. I didn't clean it up, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. I can make it public. If I want, I'll go ahead and make it public. Why not? Let's see. And you can see right here, it says upload your animation so you can share or download it. So I'm going to go ahead. I want to download it. I'm going to hit upload. I'm going to say I am done editing. Again, this is their one warning. If you go ahead and click continue, you will not be able to edit this anymore. Say continue, let it go, and it is being shipped off. Okay, so there it is. It is live. It's not terribly pretty, but it is live. So I can always come back up here and click on my login name, and you'll see that I have two animations. I'm going to go ahead and click on my ball bounce one. I can see the preview there. Now underneath this here, you can see some comments and things like that. You can see some social media, so you can click on share. Let's see what happens. You click on share, it goes right to Facebook. We've got a GIF option here, and then we've got an option that says attach. I'm going to try both. So if I click on GIF, it loads up in a new window as a GIF file, and then I can right mouse click, save image as, and I can then save it to my desktop, and I'll call this ball bounce .gif. Hit save, and that is now should be on my desktop. I'm going to now go back. Aha. Okay, so there we go. It went back. Let's see what attach does. So if I hit attach, it now just changes to OK. I'm not really sure what that does. Maybe I can attach it in an email. I don't know. But if I now go to my desktop, I should have the, here it is here. Here's the GIF file. So I can now open it up. Here's what it looks like in macOS preview. And you can see, I can see all my frames here. So that's kind of cool. So you could take this into another program like Photoshop or Krita if you wanted to. I could go back into a web browser and open that up. And I could just go ahead and drag and drop it right into a web browser and it would play. You could also put this into Google Drive, or you could email it to someone and you would be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this tutorial up. And this will end the tutorial series for FlipAnim. I hope it helps you out. It's a great little tool. It's free. It doesn't do everything, but what it does do, it does really well. So I hope this helps you out, and I would love to see some of your animations. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.